All right, we are ready to get going. Welcome to Putting the Social Back in Social Media. My name is Paul Blanchard. I'm the president of Habit Finder, the official Augmandino company. We've been around for about 21 years now, working with hundreds of thousands of entrepreneurs, business leaders, and publicly traded companies, Global 100s, and hundreds of thousands of entrepreneurs as well in all sorts of different kinds of businesses. And we're excited to spend some time with you today. We've spent the majority of those 21 years studying the patterns of the brain. Augmandino, who is the inspiration for starting our company, we are the official Augmandino company, talked about the other mind in his perennial bestseller, The Greatest Salesman in the World. We wanted to be able to measure that. So we've spent a long time being able to measure the patterns of the brain, the things that connect us all as human beings, but the very unique things about each of our journeys in personal growth and success and creating what we want in our lives. We've discovered in that process over 6 quadrillion variables in how your brain is processing your life. And after spending a lot of time in that space, after establishing some incredible amount of research and application and amazing results, when you can actually scientifically measure those things, when you can actually measure what the way the brain is working on a subconscious level, with mathematics and formal sciences, it gives you this map, not to be able to figure out how to match someone else's journey you may have been compared to, or how to do it exactly like that guru or that influencer or that coach or that speaker was telling you to do it, but you can actually start to navigate your very personal, very unique journey in this. One of the primary focuses of Habit Finder is to make personal development personal again. Now, what's interesting is as the world has continued to evolve, as technological advances have become extraordinary, we realize that social media could not be ignored. The opportunity to connect with people at lightning speed was unbelievable. That if I wanted to meet someone in the Sudan or in Asia, I could do so in the next 5 minutes with several people. I mean, it's just incredible to think about how far we've come and the access that we have. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that phone numbers were locations, and now phone numbers are people, and their phones are representative of them, and the access we have to the world through that is amazing. But we realized as a lot of our clients were starting to try to bring the principles of human connection, trying to bring the principles we teach about the patterns of the brain into an artificial environment like social media, that many were struggling. Many were watching, is it just spam and blast so much content out and see what sticks to the wall? Is it more of a tactical game? Is it more covert? Is it more this or more that? And as we started diving deeper and deeper into social media over the last several years, we realized that the same rules to connection, the same rules to relationships still apply. It's still about being social. One of the challenges that our brain created is that because we have this lightning speed access to people, unlimited access to humanity, to billions of people at the push of a button, there was an unconscious assumption that there was lightning speed in developing relationships as well, that text messages didn't require as many characters as an actual conversation might. But what we may not have realized was the shadow side to doing this, and that is that the laws of connection, the elements that allow us to connect as human beings, to build trust, to build relationship, have not changed, despite how fast we can access the entire world. That's why we created this. We wanted to put the social back in social media. There are a lot of people, in fact, our research has shown over 80% of entrepreneurs and business leaders are naturally biased to an introverted kind of tendency. And getting access to so many people isn't necessarily something that lights them up. In fact, it usually causes them to withdraw. These are the type of people who would rather have a good book or a good movie and relaxation with themselves or only a few people than to go to a party and meet, dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of people. There's about 15 to 25% of the population that loves that, and both will want to pay attention to what we're going to talk about today and putting the social back in social media. I was talking to one of the top Instagram consultants a few years back, and he said something I've never forgotten. He said, Paul, one of the greatest challenges for people to be successful with social media is we're not naturally social. Our brain looks for the shortcuts. looks to, cut ahead, looks to skip steps to try and stay comfortable, to try and keep things predictable, and it sabotages us constantly. So that's a little bit of the backstory of what we created. And along the way, we've learned some amazing things from some of the greatest teachers out there, the greatest experts in social media. And we found something really interesting. The greatest experts in social media are not out there teaching social media courses. The access they have, the technology they have, it puts them in a slightly different category, in a slightly different space. And I'll share more about that as we get to the end of the presentation, about what we discovered as we kind of went into the underworld, if you will, of cyberland and security and algorithms and all these other things. But regardless of where that story is going to go, we want to make sure that we're going to give you things that you can use no matter what you do with us, or what you learn about Habit Finder, or Ogmandino and the 10 Scrolls and other incredible books that he's written, and the things we stand for in terms of making personal development personal again, even in the workplace. We work with a lot of large companies, but also being able to challenge the way your brain works. And we are so excited about social media, and especially what we've had the opportunity to learn, because it's like hiding veggies in a kid's drink. You think you're doing social media, but you're actually working on you. There are a few things that will challenge you and show you things, part of yourself that you may not have wanted to look at, things you may have wanted to justify or rationalize away, that you can't hide from if you really want to do social media in a way that it can grow your business, grow your influence with integrity, authenticity, and fulfillment. So let's jump into this. We want to take you through some principles that are going to serve you in terms of taking on social media with a different kind of mindset. So if we can bring things up in terms of the presentation, we'll go ahead and dive in here. Excellent. Okay, perfect. Let me make sure I've got this working right. There we go. It's got just a little bit of delay right at first. Okay, first, let's talk about who this presentation is for. That's kind of important. If you're going to spend the next 30 minutes with us talking about putting the social back in social media, you're probably going to want to have a pretty good idea of whether those 30 minutes are going to be relevant to you, whether they're going to be beneficial. And so in terms of who this is for, number one, and it sounds altruistic, maybe even silly to some people to say it, but it's actually more rare than we'd like to believe. And that is, this is for people who actually love people, not conceptually love them from an intrinsic place, that they're able to listen, to hold space, that they actually get revitalization from listening and contributing and adding impact to people's lives. Because there's a lot of people that love the concept of people, but don't have the stamina to be able to actually work with people, to lead people, to inspire people, to step into their world and to be able to connect with them. So hopefully, if you're here and you're listening to this, that you love people authentically and intrinsically, or at least you want to. Because some people confuse, well, people kind of drive me nuts. Maybe I don't love people. That's not necessarily the case. That just means we may not have the stamina for it. Like, I love playing basketball, but if I'm really out of shape, doesn't matter how much I love the game, I'm not going to enjoy it. I'm going to run up and down the court once and I'm going to be toast. I'm going to be fried. Doesn't matter how much I want to love the game, I'm not going to be able to enjoy it. So sometimes our love for people just needs some stamina. So if you're in that category, but you want to love people, you want to get better at it, you want deeper connections, then this is the right place for you. Number two, you love your product or your service, your mission, your idea, the way you want to make an impact on this world. It doesn't matter if you think that it's a pivotal product or service, or some people might look at it as recreational or extra or whatever it might be, or if it is right at the core of human suffering. Whatever it is, you love it. You're connected to it. It's a calling of yours. It's not just something you do. It's something that calls to you, something that connects with you deeply. And number three is you want to be authentic, not salesy, not spammy. You want to be able to connect with people. You want to be careful to not get sucked into the siren song of how many followers you have, how many likes you get, how many comments you have. Those metrics are important to know within reason, but understand you're in a world that has blown them way out of proportion. I was talking with someone the other day who has 5,000 followers and feels like a loser. I only have 5,000 followers. And I said, do you love people? She said, yes. Do you love your product or your service? She said, yes. So if I had a room of 5,000 people for you to talk to, what lengths would you go to fly, to travel, to crawl, to get there, to be able to get that kind of attention? Oh, okay. We want to make sure that we understand our metrics, but we have them in proper perspective of the pricelessness and the value of each and every human being. And we're not chasing an aggregate number of likes. We're looking for real connection, real engagement. So that's who this is for. But there is a major fundamental challenge. There's how we feel about our product and service. Okay, we feel that it can change the world, or it can make people's lives better, or it can make them feel more beautiful, which can over time impact them more deeply, or reserve energy for the people they care about, or whatever it might be. It could be simple little things that some people might find trivial, but you find deeper and more impactful than they may realize. But then the other part of the challenge is how we talk about our product or our service. There's this interesting dynamic between the two. There's how we feel, and then there's how we actually talk about it. And as crass as it might be, as you can see, this person is throwing up. It's interesting when we get a deep love for what we have to represent, sometimes we'll psych ourselves out and feel like we don't know what to say, and then we're at risk of saying too much. Other times we'll get so zealous about what we do that we run people over. We drown them in the vomit of our excitement and what we have to offer. We want to make sure that that's not fun to do face-to-face. That's not fun to do on social media either. Just because it may not be as potent on your wall of Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or whatever it might be, it's not the right way to bring social back into social media and to connect with people. We want to be able to both love our product and be able to love the person enough to find out, to step into their world, to build trust, to build brand, to build context. And the patience to do that will pay off big time if you can overcome this hurdle. So let's talk about a couple of secrets to be able to do this. What are the secrets of putting the social back in social media? What are the secrets to be able to get back to human social connection, to patience, to the messages we have with people, to the interactions on our walls, seeking out other people to connect to, the groups we play in, whatever it might be? That's what we want to get to. And secret number one is be human. It is so easy. We've, in our research over the last 21 years, have found that there are three major tethers, okay? Or excuse me, four major tethers that hold us back from being able to be our best self. And they are the need to impress, the need to pretend, the need to feel fear, and the need to feel shame. Those are four of the most destructive influences in being able to grow and become more. And what's challenging about them is they can show up in so many different disguises, like fear. As soon as we think we got fear figured out in one area of our life, it's now put on a different costume, and now it's showing up in a different area of our life, and it continues to do that throughout. It's not a matter of being able to get rid of fear. It's how aware are you of how it's currently showing up? Just like shame, the need to impress, and the need to pretend. They're constantly at play, whether you can hear them or not, whether you can recognize them or not. And one of the challenges is we get on social media and we can show up better than we are. We can show up as more impressive than we are. We can pretend on there. I'm not saying that you need to be human and just broadcast everything you're experiencing in your humanity. But I'm saying resist the temptation to set yourself up as an imposter, set yourself up as a superhuman, rather than as being superhuman, allowing yourself to have your challenges, your fragility, your insecurity, and being able to allow those to feed your social ability to be able to show up, to be able to have conversations that die is a huge piece. Like if we're going to be human, we shouldn't jump onto social media expecting any interaction, any comment to be able to turn into this incredible connection that leads to an opportunity meeting or whatever it might be. And we'll talk about that more as time goes on. But the people that are on social media that you want to connect with are going to want to connect to you as a human being. Don't get lost in the numbers and the likes and the comments. Remember, these are real people for the most part. There's some bots, there's some fake accounts, but Social media usually takes care of that pretty well by itself. You know that if someone sent you a friend request from across the seas with a big open white t-shirt and perfectly groomed hair and I am here, Francesca, that's probably not a real connection. Okay. Or vice versa for the other side of the fence. But that's something we want to pay attention to in how we show up. Is you don't need to show up as anyone other than you, because there's enough of everybody else out there, regardless of what your product and service is. More than likely, it's a product and service that there is something similar out there. Yes, I get it. We're all special little flowers. We have something that the world's never seen before in financial services, or we have something the world's never seen before in health and wellness, or in fitness, or in business, or in relationships, or whatever. And that's awesome. But your uniqueness in your product and your service is not going to have nearly as much traction as the uniqueness of your own fingerprint, the uniqueness of who you are as a human being. So if we can go into social media trusting that and being ourselves, I'm fine if it elevates you, but there's a big difference between you being elevated and you projecting something that isn't real. So secret number one is to be human. Because at the end of the day, what is the greatest gift you can give to your potential customer? The greatest gift you can give. It's not your product or service. It's not your advice or your counsel. We want to understand that one of the greatest things we can give is love. Now, this is a very particular kind of love that we're talking about. We're not talking about romantic love. We're not talking about, familial love. We're in the Greek language, they had many words for love. And the highest of them all, the greatest expression of love, is called agape love, which is very unique. It is a love that, unlike all the other words for love, the dozens of other words for love in the Greek language, it's the only one that is not emotionally driven. It can create emotions on the back end as an output, but it is driven by awareness. It is driven by accuracy. And when we do that, when we decide to show up human, we learn an incredible lesson, an amazing equation, that if I want to, or I do see someone accurately, by default, I love them. If I don't love someone, then it is because I don't see them accurately or I don't want to. That's pretty accountable. That's pretty clear. It's not about this feeling or this infatuation or this romance or whatever it might be, or even the stimulated leverage of getting to have fun with someone. It is about wanting to see them accurately. And as we do that on social media, we want to see other people accurately. Guess what we're doing in reciprocation? We are seeing ourselves more accurately. It's a beautiful thing. The foundation of what we want to bring into social media is love. And it's not necessarily always a warm, fuzzy blanket. Sometimes love is hard when it is accurate, when it is clear. Sometimes it is a welcoming, warm hand, and other times it's a sword. But we want that to be driven by what agape roughly translates to: a heightened sense of awareness, a clarity, and accuracy. Not just a warm, fuzzy blanket we want to kumbaya with the world. That's not necessarily how the highest form of love works. But if we can bring that to the table, we will be significantly more successful in social media. The next piece is understanding that everyone has a wall of resistance. This is clinically studied. This is not some woo-woo wall. This is actually a psychological protection to their true identity, to who they really are. And if people don't feel safe, which the majority of people don't on social media, the majority of people don't at their jobs, the majority of people don't even sometimes with their family or extended family. And so we built these walls of resistance to protect ourselves. That anyone you interact with, more often than not, you're interacting with their wall first until they feel safe and it comes down. And there can be a lot of assumptions made about another person based on your interaction with their wall that will be false. Ooh, they're drama, they're a victim, they're just mean, they're whatever. But that was their wall, not them. So if we're going to go onto social media, we should be ready to run into some people's walls and be quick to understand that that's not them, that's their wall, because it'll totally change how you interact with them. It'll totally change the content you provide, the concerns you might have had about not wanting to offend people. Well, sometimes it's unavoidable. It is impossible to inspire people and try not to offend them at the same time. Did you know that? Now, what I'm not saying, I just want to clarify, I'm not saying you have to offend people to inspire them. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the energy of wanting to inspire has no room for trying to protect, trying to not offend people. They're two different things. They're a gas and a brake. If you got your foot pounded down on both, you're going to burn out the engine and not go anywhere. So we want to understand that when someone may not respond positively, okay, when someone we interact with doesn't want to go where we are trying to go with the conversation, we're probably interacting with their wall. And if we can learn to bring that wall down on social media, which in some cases can be simpler than to do it face-to-face, because for some people that alone will put the wall up, from introverted tendencies, from past relationships. Just talking to someone, depending on who they are and what they trigger, could send the wall up even more. But if we learn the great secret of understanding that we're interacting with a wall, and we can be patient and loving and understanding enough to make it a safe place for them to bring their wall down, you do that on social media, and the rivers of connection just start to flow in. Third piece is, as we're using these, post personal. I don't mean like deep, intimate details about your life. What I mean is stop trying to post for everyone. The person who tries to go do social media for everyone usually gets no one, or they get some limited attention from everyone, but never enough to be able to connect to, capitalize, and drive through certain things. You're not posting for everyone. Not to mention, if you're posting on a regular basis, you don't need to worry about posting for everyone. Today's post should be for someone. It should be personal. I want to think about someone in our life that our product or service or what we represent can make an impact for. It might be someone you already know. It might be someone that you just mentally rehearse. You close your eyes and imagine what the world is like through that person's eyes, to be in their shoes. What are they experiencing? What kept them up at night? What challenges? And then you make a post for that person. And it doesn't start with, hey, that person I was dreaming about last night. No, you just say the things in the context of a larger audience that you would have wanted to say to that person one-to-one. If we start posting personal, we start posting for someone rather than for everyone, you will find significantly greater penetration and impact in being social and social media. You'll find opportunities for connection and trust and relationship. It doesn't mean they all need to be the same posts. Many of you represent products and services that have lots of different elements to them, lots of different parts of the life that they impact. Like I was talking with a lady yesterday who is a phenomenal financial advisor. Okay, she's amazing at what she does, but she's also phenomenal because she knows that when you work on your relationship with money, it reveals so many things about your relationships with everything else. So that's given her an opportunity to start posting personal about all those things, rather than just trying to make it a generally good message about financial management for everyone and not being able to get through the noise that's on social media to be able to connect with a real human being. Secret number two is to be authentic. Enthos hectic, to be your true self. As I was saying earlier, social media does not need another version of someone. They deserve to have you, your uniqueness, what you bring to the table, your real, genuine, and authentic self. So use social media as an opportunity to be authentic. And there are times where we won't feel like doing social media because, oh, that's not authentic. I'm talking about authentic to your true self, not necessarily how you're feeling today. That's a big difference. It's a big difference between how you're feeling today and who your true self is. And that's one of the beautiful things about social media, is if you are committed to showing up there and living out loud in a way that draws people to you, that builds trust and relationship, if you're willing to do that, then it will elevate you. You may be feeling crappy today, but your true self is better than that. And because you've got a post to do or a Facebook Live to do, or you've got something else to do to connect with a group or whatever it might be, it elevates you to your true self. But if anyone comes to me and says, I can't post that, it's not how I'm feeling. Well, feelings are massive variables, sporadic, chaotic. They're random. Go to bed feeling like $1 million, wake up feeling like you're in $1 million of debt, just emotionally. So let us focus on our true selves, not necessarily just how we're feeling. Because in a lot of cases, when you show up and it elevates you in that space, you're not being fake. You're being intentional, as long as it's connected to your authenticity, to your true self. It is so important to ask yourself, do you have social equity? When you look at your current social media assets, do you have social equity? Do you have people who have a feeling for who you are, your personal brand? Do you have people that are currently interacting with you? Do you have people that are following you, that are collaborators, potential partners? Do you have social equity? If you don't, it's going to be a slightly different journey for you to build that. Patient, but understand it will hockey stick, okay? You'll feel like you're going down the runway, going down the runway, going down the runway. And as long as you're going down the right runway, which we'll talk about later, you're going to take off. And it's going to require far less velocity, far less energy once you've taken off to be in the air. So remember that for those of you who don't have social equity and are working through that. But also don't fall into the siren song of trying to build social equity being someone that you're not. I'm doing it the way he does it. I'm doing it so I look like them. And no, be you. Be authentic with this, okay? Here are 5 things for you to focus on to be able to make an impact on how you show up authentically. First, ask yourself, what am I grateful for? And write it down. And then go do a post about it. You know what's awesome about posting about things you're grateful for? Is it requires you to reflect on things you're grateful for. How cool is that? That it invites that energy into your world and in your life. So start today. What am I grateful for? And write a couple of things down. And then before you're quick to post it, just feel the energy around that gratitude. And then go create a post or do a live or whatever you might do that's around what you're grateful for. Number 2, if you're having trouble with content, write about and make a post about or do a live about fun you're having. Just like gratitude, what's so cool about this is it will now require you to go do something fun, even if you're just doing it so you can put it on Instagram, or you're just doing it so you can put it on Facebook or talk about it on Twitter or whatever it might be, or do a little TikTok video. Even if it's going and playing on the trampoline with your kids for 5 minutes, just so you can get a couple pictures and a couple videos. That's way better than not having done it at all. Oh, but I feel bad. The only reason I'm jumping on this trampoline with my kids is for, no, that's the only reason that got you on there. But even if it's for a few minutes, you can be present to that and have fun doing that, and then go and do a post about it. It's awesome. To be able to reference your life is really important. Now, you don't have to document your life. You don't need to video the entire session on the trampoline, or if you went on a hike for getting some pictures and stuff, you don't need to have your phone out the whole time. Just make references. You're not a documentarian. You don't need to video the entire thing. That could rob you of actually enjoying the experience. But have fun. If you're struggling with what to put out there on social media, start having intentional fun. It's super healthy and super good for you, but it's also going to give you great content to show up authentically on social media. Number 3, what challenges are you overcoming? What challenges are you overcoming? What's awesome about this is it requires you to take inventory of what's not working. What are you still spinning in circles about? What's consuming your mind that is creating challenges in your life? And what are you doing about them? It's not just what challenges are you experiencing, it's what challenges are you overcoming. See, the world you want to connect with on social media doesn't want to commiserate. There are plenty of people on social media who will commiserate and want to commiserate, but the people you're going to want to connect with, the people that are moving in life, the people that are growing, the people that can be great partners, collaborators, customers, and clients for you, they want to hear about how you're doing it, not how you did it years ago, how you would hypothetically do it in the future, but how are you currently doing life, your profession, your family. So what challenges are you experiencing and how are you overcoming them? I mean, the opportunity to get out there right now and just be like, it's been a rough year. Has it been a rough year for you? Here's what I found to be really helpful. Or it's been a tough couple of weeks and here's why. Anyone else experienced that? Let me share with you what I've been doing about it. That's challenges you're overcoming. That's not commiseration. That's not bragging. That is a beautiful sweet spot in authenticity. Next, what are you studying to improve yourself and learn more? People are naturally attracted to other people that are developing their education and their expertise and their improvement. They want to see that they're working with someone who is willing to work on themselves. that is continuing to challenge their boundaries, continuing to challenge themselves. So this is a great opportunity, because if you aren't studying anything, if you aren't experiencing anything, if you aren't joining webinars like this one, then you can start to, because it's going to add value and add content. Not all of your content has to be about you. It can be about what you're reading, who you're listening to, who you're partnering with, why you think they're amazing. You start building social equity with those people, it will naturally build social equity with the people you want to be paying attention to you as well. And it'll challenge you to make sure you're being intentional with your studying and with who you're listening to and why you're listening to them, and being able to share those quotes, being able to share why it mattered, being able to share a good book you're in or a good coach you're working with or whatever it might be. Those are actually represented really powerfully. It's not, oh, if they need a coach, how are they coaching people? No, it's quite the opposite. Right? As people become better and better at what they do, a lot of it is because they've built a better and better team around them. Your team right now might be books, it might be events, but use those for content. Use those to share your unique perspective and give appropriate attribution as you go through. That's another great way of finding good content. Then what questions can you ask to encourage engagement? Now, there are some things out there in social media that are what they call clickbait, where it's just designed to get a lot of interactions. It's close, but no cigar. Like, you want to make sure that when you're asking things that will cause people to respond, that it's not just for the sake of response. Because remember, we're being social. We want to create a conversation. Like, there's one out there that I see all the time that's, hey, I don't know how many of my friends can actually see this post, so just drop a yes in the comments if you can see this post. Or just drop a hi in the comments if you can see this post. It's really tough to start a conversation from hi or yes. But if you can put more context into these kinds of engagements, these kinds of questions, even if they're not your style, you're not putting those out there to express your style, your preferences. You're putting them out there because they're a great opportunity for them to express theirs to you. And therein lies what we talked about just previously. What's the most important gift you can give another person? For them to feel understood, to feel that agape love, to feel it's safe to bring their walls down. And if you're throwing something out there that's more about being able to hear their perspective rather than continuing to instill and wear in yours, that's a really powerful way to engage. So in terms of being authentic, we want to focus on the social, not the promotional. There should be very little promotion on your social media if you want to build a business that is so socially sound, that is built on trust and relationship. That doesn't mean you don't promote, but that is not the lead factor. Promotion is lost on so many people we haven't built trust or brand or relationship with. So we're going to flip that script. We're going to focus more on being social and not promotional. We're going to balance those 5 pillars. We're going to start creating content while becoming better, focusing on our gratitude, our fun, what we're learning, what challenges we're experiencing, and our ability to engage someone else's perspective. One of the greatest ways to be able to be authentic and connect with other people, to leave them feeling understood, is not just want to talk to them about what's important to you. Create posts that allow them to share with you what's important to them, and you'll broaden your scope. The human brain typically responds best to people who think similarly to us, but it seriously limits the scope of who we could connect with. A lot of you are not going to want a business or have a product or service that is just for a small fraction of an audience, or just people that think specifically how you think. That's a really tough game of go fish. Hey, do you think just like I do? Go fish. Do you think just like I do? Go fish. You're going to have to go through so many other people rather than connecting on having similar things that are important to each other. Let's connect on connection by actually caring what's important to them. And the last thing is more of a fundamental tip, and that's take tons of pictures. If any of you are struggling with being social on social media, if any of you are struggling with showing up consistently with content you feel good about, become your own professional photographer. You may have even been the person making fun of someone taking a selfie when you thought they should have just been totally present. Again, there's documenting. You don't need to figure out how to duct tape your phone to some position to film an entire thing, but a little video here and there, a little picture here and there, so you still have plenty of time to be present to life. But if you end each day and you've taken pictures of random things you noticed that you thought were beautiful, you don't usually notice before, or people you got to meet, or just yourself in different places, like Starbucks reading a book, I mean, whatever it is, that you're going to have inspiration for content every day. You're going to be able to pull up your photo roll on your phone and be like, oh, I read this great quote in this book about the beauty of the world. And here's a picture of a random flower I took right next to the sidewalk that there's no other plants around. It was just all there by itself. What an inspiring picture to put with that content. Or having pictures of yourself and being able to add little quotes on top of those pictures with dozens of free apps that you can do that with. But if you've got more content that you need, you're going to feel less constipated in getting content out and being able to be inspired by what you're actually experiencing in your life, which is the best way to be authentic. Secret number 3 is to be safe. We want to be safe. Remember those walls of resistance? That people's walls seem very high right now, but it's really important that we understand they've never been so thin. And someone who is willing to show up on social media in a social way where they actually feel like a human being rather than a walking billboard are able to build deeper and stronger relationships. If you've got a business that does not support the investment in deeper and stronger relationships, you may want to restructure your business a little bit or consider why you're a part of it. Because being safe is the number one element to allowing people to feel understood, unlocking at least 40% cooperation and productive energy from that person, and being able to build a solid relationship. You can sell stuff and make money, but relationships make you wealthy, financially wealthy, spiritually wealthy, everywhere else. And that's what we want to seek by choosing to be safe. So, question for you. As you're interacting on social media, as you're being social on social media, how many possible outcomes do you have for a conversation? Any chance you've been ingrained with just one outcome, or maybe two? It's either no or yes, I'll join you. Yes, I'll get your service, your product. Well, I would challenge you to start to come up with more. Because sometimes one of your outcomes is just to see if you can make somebody smile. You may not know that unless they send an emoji or something, or it led to a conversation on Zoom or in person or whatever it might have been. But you can feel the energy of a smile. So maybe that's one of your outcomes. One of the outcomes was to try and hear a story about someone's life that you'd never heard before. That's a really cool outcome. One of them was to make sure somebody knows that there are people out there that care about their content. That's a great outcome. Sometimes it was just to keep a message simpler and more concise, so they didn't feel like you had an agenda. That's a great outcome. There's so many different outcomes other than getting them to buy your product and service. I'm not saying that shouldn't be one of them, but it relieves tremendous pressure to very highly empathetic, very servant-driven people, which are typically the ones that we attract, or the ones who have been gung-ho closers and transactional and realize that's not sustainable. What gets you results today isn't necessarily going to get you the results you'll enjoy tomorrow. And so being social and social media, again, is super important, but this is very important to make sure you've got more than one outcome. It's not, opportunity meeting or bust, or get them to join your business or bust. Dan McCormick, a dear friend who's one of the most successful home-based business professionals I've ever met, said it beautifully when he said, I make friends, and some of them buy from me. Some of them, meaning less than 50%, probably even way less than that. What a beautiful way to live when we consider multiple outcomes to our conversations. So here's what we want you to do. As an example, you're checking in with somebody. Hey, long time no talk. I'm good. How are you? I'm good. Not really, just plugging along. See how simple this is? Let me know and take care. Like, we aren't trying to be a can opener. Oh, but you could have totally said this and been more clever here and what? No, like, people will give you hints and clues if you give them a safe place to do it. But sometimes they're not in a position where they even want to bring their wall down, no matter how kind and open and soft you might be. But you don't want to go be a can opener. That's not how you show up social on social media. We don't want to force conversations. Our brain doesn't enjoy that. Our heart doesn't enjoy that. And we're not going to be excited about doing it every day if we're trying to force it. So we want to just be simple. If the conversation ends here, no problem. Because you can always go back and start it again a week from now, a month from now, 6 months from now. And it's going to be even easier to start it again when you didn't kill the conversation. You just let it die. You just let it end. You walked into the bar, someone saw you wearing a Green Bay Packers jersey. That's my favorite team. Went, go Pack. And you're like, yeah, totally. You don't need to walk over and be like, so tell me why you like the Packers. And have you ever thought about how to lose 10 pounds in the next 30 days? We don't need to do that. We don't need to force these conversations when we're really being social, because you'll start to see the pipeline fill without you needing to force it. So don't do this. This is a real example that a close friend of mine got this text. This is so-and-so. Is this still so-and-so's number? I recently got a new phone, so he could smell it from the beginning. And he said, yep, and sat and just waited. And here's the next message that came. Awesome, it's been a while. How are you and your family during these crazy times? So that's not a bad question. That's great. But then this came. So he didn't respond to that one because he could just kind of feel something was off. And if this one had been sent and left alone, he may have responded it to, or they may have come back a couple of weeks later and said, hey, did you see my previous message? And they're going to feel safer then because you weren't, aggressively tracking them down, ready to pounce. But that's not what happened here. I don't know if you got my last text. I was hoping you guys are doing well. Wondering if by chance you're available tonight at 7 p.m. I have something you have to see. Oh, why is this still being taught? Well, probably because it still gets results, just not the results you wanted. Not the ones that fulfill a long-standing, solidly built business. Now, that's not to say you can't invite people to do things, but look at how this was set up. How are you? I got a new phone. How's your family? But here's why I was really reaching out to you. Oh, and it didn't take more than a couple hours to get to this point. Now, we want to let our conversations breathe. We want to let them be real. We want to be intentional when the opportunity arises. We don't want to force it. Okay? We don't want to miss the opportunity to be able to connect with people soundly, to make friends, and some of them, as they start to build trust, brand, and relationship with us, they'll buy. And some is more than enough for massively successful businesses. So be safe. Patience, patience, patience. Not frivolous, just out there. I just care about people. I just serve. I don't sell. No, you still need to understand how selling is done. Still need to understand how to build your brand and trust, but there should be a ton of patience involved in that. Don't be in a hurry to get anyone to a sale. That's not selling. That's not deeply connecting and partnering with someone on a solution that could bless their life. That requires patience for someone to feel safe. And as you start to trust that, it'll happen more and more often. Your pipeline will fill up. People will start coming out of the woodwork from places you've never met. You don't even know if you will be patient enough while doing the right intentional activities. But also understand that most of the people you want in your business or using your product or service are crock pots, not microwaves. Microwaves are phenomenal for convenience, for speed, but you'd never take a top-rated dry rub Costco ribeye and put it in a microwave. There's downsides to microwaves. They're fast and convenient, and every once in a while you'll get a runner, a microwave. That's awesome. Support them. They couldn't even wait to pay you. They're just excited to sign up for your product or service. Those are great. They're just not the majority. The majority of people are crockpots. It takes time to bring their wall down, trust and relationship. And you want to be very patient in that process. But once they sign up, they'll likely be a client, a customer, a partner of yours for life. That's the strong foundation of having a crockpot type of approach, because that's how social constructs are built. We don't walk in and go, hey, nice to meet you. Should we get married? It doesn't work like that in 99% of the scenarios. If you come across one of those kind of clients or customers, awesome. Just don't let it trick you into believing that's how everybody is. Make friends. Some of them will buy. Fill up a pipeline of friendships and relationships and trust. And you'll find yourself having to be far less salesy to be able to get customers and clients that are with you for a long, long time. When they have a relationship with you and then they build a relationship with your product, they're probably going to use your product more often. and need to buy it more often, which is going to make you more money. Or they're going to use your service more often, which is going to make you more money. Patience will make you more money because it's based on relationships, which that's what drives wealth. Quick bonus, okay? Quick bonus tip, Facebook Lives. Okay, those are the 3 secrets we've gone through. Okay, be human, be authentic, be safe. That's how we are going to put the social back in social media. But a couple of things about Facebook Lives. 1, before you go live, you're going to want to have a person in mind. You might even tape a picture of that person on the bottom of your phone or your laptop when you're ready to go live. So you can speak to them energetically. You can speak to the energy of talking to one person, even though you're talking to an entire audience. You're going to want to have the energy so that someone that is in alignment with that, someone that can connect with that, is going to feel like you're talking to them. Sometimes we do that on accident, but let's not do it on accident. Let's do it intentionally by focusing on one person when we're going to go live. Have simple bullet points. Don't script your live, but not all of them should be from the hip. Every once in a while, if you just feel impressed, go ahead, jump on Facebook Live and share what's going on around you or some aha you just had or whatever. But most of your lives should be appropriately constructed with just a couple of points and fewer than you think. Okay? Because your lives shouldn't be longer than a certain amount of time. Shouldn't be shorter than a certain amount of time. Those are some of the things that we teach in some of our courses and putting social back in social media, because the tactics are still important. The strategy is still important. But the heart, the energy, the social energy that we've been talking about today, you can't come back from that if you don't have it. You can't recover. There's no amount of tactics or anything in the world that will build a business you can be proud of and feel good about with a solid foundation if you don't. So yeah, have a couple of simple bullet points for your lives as well, and then message people. If you did a live with someone in mind that you actually know, message them afterwards. Hey, I did this live yesterday, and I thought of you after I wrapped it up. I was wondering if you'd watch it and let me know what you think. You could do that with a handful of people. Don't just spam it out to everybody on your list. Hey, I thought this would be for you. No, it wasn't, because you were doing it for someone, not for everyone. But don't be afraid to, let's say you've got a product or service and you did a live on the impact it can have for teachers and just the kind of life-changing elements that it's created. And then send a couple of messages to some teachers and say, hey, I don't know if you saw it, but I went live last week or a couple of days ago or earlier this morning. And as I wrapped up, I just found myself thinking about you. Just wondering if you'd watch it and let me know what you think. It's a great way to get more traction on a personal social level from your Facebook Lives. So 3 secrets: be human. You don't have to be superhuman, just be super human. You don't need to broadcast all your problems, but we're going to be real. We're going to be safe. We're not going to need to drive everybody to a sale. We're not going to be the used car salesman, as people would say, which I hope doesn't offend any used car salesman watching this. There's a lot of really good ones. Unfortunately, there was just a time period where that was the quintessential wrong way to do sales. So it's still talked about today, but I share it just because people know what I mean. And be authentic, your true self. It's not necessarily how you're feeling, but who your true self is, and using social media to draw that version of yourself out intentionally 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day. Not always for a post, sometimes just to go see other people's stuff and interact with them. But these are the ways that we put social back in social media. So what's next? Use it. That's what's next. Go use this. Go experiment with being human, being authentic, being safe. Hopefully some of you got to exhale. I can actually talk to people without having to lead to a sale. Yeah, I sure hope so. Okay. I can just have 1 or 2 exchanges and it doesn't feel like I could take it any further and I can just let that go. Yes, absolutely. We're making friends. We're making acquaintances and we're finding some partners and some customers in the process. But we've got the people we reach, and then there's a smaller population of the people we connect to. Then there's a smaller population of where we advance that conversation and create friendship and relationship. And then there's an even smaller population of people that become customers, clients, or partners. So if you want more customers, clients, and partners, make more friends. If you want more friends, then connect with more people. If you want to connect with more people, figure out how to crack the social code. Figure out how to get out of the ponds of the people who have seen your same stuff over and over and over again, and get out into the deep oceans of connection. We've spent the last over a year building exactly how to do just that. I mentioned a story earlier in terms of we realized that the greatest experts out there in social media are actually not teaching social media. And we found one of them. He just happened to be a client of mine. And we were talking a little over a year ago. And he is a cybersecurity expert, consults for the Department of Defense, the White House, the dignitaries overseas. I mean, big deal, clearances and ability. He was original programmer on social media platforms and Bitcoin and other things. And it just so happens that he moonlights as a hacking the algorithm of Facebook. Now, I say Facebook in particular. I've referenced other social media platforms. If you're already on any other platform, continue to do what you're doing if you're getting results. If you're not, there's a major realization, and that is that social currency has never been so valuable. And Facebook is still the bank. People can talk to you about the demographics. People can talk to you about whatever, but the statistics don't lie. There's still more people on Facebook than anywhere else in any demographic. There are people that saying they're going to get off of Facebook, and guess where they say it? They say it on Facebook, and they just happen to usually stick around. Any other app, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it might be, Snapchat, none of them become relevant until they add that add to Facebook button. It's still the bank. I'm not saying don't use those other things. Depending on your product or service, it could be really advantageous to start there. But if your product or service, your business is really based in relationships, building community, building trust and brand, Facebook is still the best way to do it. So that's where we decided to focus. And it's not with a business page. It's not with ads. You have significantly greater returns and reach on your personal profile being social again. And there's a specific rhythm to doing that. And this cyber ninja, we call him, a client of mine that taught me things about social media, said, hey, if you do this on this day at this time, and then do this the next day, and then do this the next day, watch what happens. And we go and test it and be like, whoa, I'm hearing from people I didn't even knew who I was, asking me questions about what I do and how they could sign up. And I mean, it's crazy. So I went back to him and said, why don't you teach this? He says, I can't. Because my clearances, my position, I can't be a public figure and work on the dark web at the same time in security and all these other areas. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. Can I teach it? He goes, yeah, that'd be great. He said, I love what Habit Finder teaches. We can weave Habit Finder principles while teaching people how to use Facebook in such a way that it will grow their business, grow their influence, actually become an influencer. Not because you need to have millions of followers, but because you have relationships with those followers. And yes, a lot of followers as well. A lot of people to connect with that then become friends, that then become partners and clients and so on. People that find you that you had no idea had eyeballs on you if you can crack the code and be able to get out of these ponds that most of us operate in because the algorithm keeps you stuck in your ponds. This cyber ninja has shown us how to bypass the algorithm and get into a deep connection, deep ocean of connection. We call it cracking the social code. Right now, you can go to habitfinder.com/social and get access to this. This is easily a $1,000 course that we priced at a fraction of that. Not a today only kind of price. That's not how we roll. We don't need to give you unnecessary pressure or incentive. Okay, because if you need unnecessary pressure and incentive to do things, then you've got a lot more problems going on than just needing to learn how to use social media better in terms of your life and what drives you and why it drives you. So we're going to trust that those of you who are here and are ready to do the work, but want to do it in a more intentional, concise way so you can spend less time on social media, getting a way bigger return. And I'd recommend you check it out, Cracking the Social Code, for a fraction of what all the consultants, even the people that helped us build this course, even the Cyber Ninja was like, this is a very valuable course. We wanted to price it in a way that it was accessible, because there's so much more for you to do when you can now start getting more attention, more eyeballs, more leads, more clients. And we know that if we can help be the one to get you those eyeballs, get you that influence, get you that attention, that we might also be the ones to help you out with some other deep challenges up here in mindset, in the brain, in sales, in recruiting, in management, in leadership, in business strategy, and everything else. So let's start here. Let's start simple. Don't take our word for it. This launched a few months back, had an incredible response. We did a couple of test groups and it was unbelievable, but it was controlled. Obviously, we picked people in the test groups that we knew would follow it and would appreciate it. And so we, were worried that those results would be skewed. But in the first month, I mean, we heard from the majority, at least 80% of the people in it, 100% of the people who were following the instructions, which actually saved them more time than created more busy work on social media. And we just started hearing these incredible stories about, I've got people signing up that I've never met before. I've got more impact and influence than I ever thought was possible in this short a time. I got 4 times more views than I've ever had so far, and people are sharing out my messages. And I have a full-time job, so I have to be very specific. And this is just maximizing my time. I'm getting comments from people that I haven't heard from in years, that never saw my stuff that I thought were. This is the best month I've ever had in my business. That's one of my favorites to hear, and we've heard that a lot. Okay, I've got people signing up that I've never talked to. This is getting so much more reach, so on and so on. I mean, it's just awesome in terms of what people are experiencing out there with cracking the code. Having people sign up that they didn't even need to approach because of the way that this course staged their social media. It's weird, okay? Just like our assessment, the Habit Finder, it's weird. There's some things we ask you to do in cracking the social code that might seem kind of weird, might challenge the way you think stuff should be done. But if you follow it, you'll get people's attention and you'll get it in context. There are a lot of things out there you can do in social media to get people's attention, but if you're not getting them their attention with context, that's tough to work with. That's tough to progress. So you're going to want to get context. You're going to want to put social back in social media, but not just for the sake of being social, but being intentional so that you can grow your business. If you're here from where we started, you love people, or at least you want to, you love your product and service, you want to make an impact on this world, then we invite you to crack the code. We invite you to participate in this and put it to the test. Go through every step of it, which is, it lays out exactly what to do every day for 6 weeks, 5 days a week. You don't have to do anything on social media over the weekend unless you want to. Monday through Friday, exactly when to post, what else to do to get out of the ponds of connection and get out into the ocean. And what's really fun for me is, as I've taught the Cyber Ninjas genius in this course, which are very concise videos. You're going to see like a 5-minute video. One of my clients who's invested tens of thousands of dollars in social media, after the first week of the course, went, "Paul, I'm in awe. Thank you for not taking 45 minutes to teach a 5-minute lesson." Because that's very common in this space. Because if I can extend how long I pontificate about a particular strategy, it sounds more valuable, so I can charge you more money. No, we wanted to get you exactly what you need so that you can win on social media, get more influence, get more attention. And if you're the kind of people that we want to be working with, you can use that for good, for your products, for your services, for your philanthropy, for your nonprofit, whatever it is. So habitfinder.com/social. To be able to put the social back in social media, put the humanity back in what we're doing in a time that social currency is so important, in a time that we want to be able to represent ourselves well, be able to make more friends, and have a few more of them buy from us, because what we do matters. If that's you, thanks for being here today. Thanks for listening. And we look forward to working with you moving forward. Take care. Now, if any of you on here with us live right now have any questions, please feel free to go into the Q&A or into the chat to ask any questions you've got, anything that would be of service to you to know about. There's nothing off topic. So, oh, actually, my team's letting me know that we don't have time for that. Thank you. So if you do have any questions, you can always email support@habitfinder.com, support@habitfinder.com, for you to be able to get your questions answered. But thank you so much for being here with us today. I hope this was beneficial to you. And we hope to see you in cracking the code and beyond. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.